meditation and being a Buddhist chaplain in the prison of Rome, the main prison of Rome, Rebibbia Prison, and where a growing number of inmates assiduously followed a course in meditation on a weekly basis. And this was a completely new phenomenon for Rome. In the United States, as you may know, by contrast, courses in meditation and prison chaplaincy, Buddhist prison chaplaincy, have been held in prison for over 40 years. And as for the meditation courses, the results have been extraordinary. Noticeable reduction in levels of stress, anger, and even suicide, and a 20% drop in instances of recidivism among former prisoners who have attended such courses. And in US, meditation practice has been shown to be especially effective on death row, where inmates who have been condemned to capital punishment have managed to live serenely and fully the time remaining to them, thanks to their assiduous practice, Buddhist practice. Not only this, but in US, some prisoners have transformed their period of incarceration into a Buddhist spiritual retreat. In fact, a monastic retreat, there are some similarities there, no? In a monastery, you live in a cell, at least in a Catholic monastery. You live in a cell. You wear a robe, a cassock, or a uniform. You live with people that you don't choose. And so, yes, there are similarities. And then there are rules. You cannot get out. Of course, in monasteries, there is no violence. And you do choose to go in a monastery while you don't choose directly, at least, to go in prison. But there are some parallels there. So people in prison were able to transform the time that they had to spend in prison in a spiritual retreat, and they transformed their cell into a monastic cell. And in the San Francisco Zen Center, the monastery where I was ordained as a Zen monk, and where I continue to teach and practice periodically, has for years offered a course in meditation and Buddhist chaplaincy for the prisoners of San Quentin. And so while I was in San Francisco, I've been deeply inspired by the very successful program that they had there and that I took part in. And so I had the idea of proposing similar courses in Italy. So I've been trained not only as a priest, but even though I was a fully fledged Dhamma teacher, I received a specific training on how to be a Buddhist prison chaplain. And when I got back to Italy, I tried for many years to present a course of Buddhism and Buddhist chaplaincy and meditation in the prison of Rome, but for many years that was not possible. At that time, the Italian Buddhist Union didn't have an agreement with the Italian state, with the Italian government, so it was not possible. And the only chaplain that was allowed was a Catholic chaplain. And even though at the time the laws would say that every single inmate had the right to have a spiritual assistance, still, this is Rome. So the Catholic chaplain had a power on that. And so the no coming from the Catholic chaplain was even stronger than the yes coming from the director of the institution. So for many years, I wasn't able to enter the prison. Finally, with the support of Professor Raffone, that you will meet in a few minutes, we were able to present a joint program of Buddhist meditation joined with the scientific research conducted by the University of Rome. And in this way, magically, the doors of the main prison of Rome opened. And that was the very first Buddhist program in a prison in the whole history of Italy and in the whole history of Rome. Uh, Alongside the joy of succeeding finally in getting this project underway, there came another quite unexpected joy. The captain of the correctional officers, when he learned about the course, asked me to organize one also for the guards, obviously in different spaces and at different times. And we talk a lot about, on the newspaper, there's uh, a lot about suicides among inmates, forgetting that the officers too pass a large part of their lives inside the prison, where they too develop high levels of stress, leading even to suicide. And it became immediately clear to me that to bring greater peace within the prison walls, both sides of the correctional institution, prison guards and inmates, needed this intervention. So I presented the course also to the officers, who responded with enthusiasm, immediately forming a group, a large group, 20 persons. And this too represents something altogether new for Italy. In fact, I learned that when I received my training in US, the very first thing that they told me is that prison officers strongly resist such programs, not only showing no interest in them, but also actively denigrating them. While in Italy, I found myself in a completely different situation. Great interest and an explicit request for help, and an extraordinary human connection between guards and prisoners. In fact, I discovered that the human connection that is established leads to the officers taking on psychological burden of the prisoners' own dramas, a burden that not only adds to the stress they already suffer in their demanding jobs. Uh, and then, after a few years, another surprise came. So the Italian government called me and organized and asked me to organize a course for people working in prisons, not only guards, but directors and psychologists and social workers. A course in Buddhist meditation for people working in prison in all central Italy, organized by the Ministry of Justice. And uh, we have been doing that together with Professor Raffone for the last 3 years, and 250 people attended this course. And Professor Raffone made a research that we'll present in a few minutes. So normally, I go to prison and we sit where we sit. Since I presented at the beginning, not as a Buddhist chaplaincy, but as a meditation course, since at the time I couldn't enter officially as a Buddhist chaplain, I presented it as a meditation course. So that's what we had at the beginning. So sitting meditation, walking meditation, Dharma talk, and then sharing. And this practice is very, very effective. Both sitting and walking meditation allow the development for the inmates of an interior space where the individual is free, as in the eye of a cyclone, a central interior space which remains calm even in the midst of chaos, as in the prison, a place of clarity in the midst of confusion. And this is an interior space that, once activated, can be accessed at will. And a practice of this kind permits the inmates to make peace with the present moment whatever it may be, and to make peace with themselves. It permits not only to use the mind to escape from a situation, but to remain calm exactly where they are and to transform discomfort into comfort. And right from the start, the prisoners showed great curiosity and interest, engaging in lively questions and reflections, not only about meditation, but also about Buddhism and Buddhist psychology. And as a Zen practitioner, in Zen, the way of the Bodhisattva is central. The enlightened being who voluntarily immerses him or her in a suffering dimension for the benefit of all beings. So, from this perspective, entering into the hell we call prison, to be a chaplain, to teach meditation, is an extraordinary bodhisattva practice, capable of bringing benefit not only to the prisoners and to those who are in charge of them, but also to the person who teaches the course. In a prison environment is one of profound suffering and sadness, and the pain is palpable as soon as the heavy reinforced doors of the prison entrance close behind you and you find yourself in a courtyard whose great walls tower so high that you can hardly see the sky. You feel the oppression, even if you know that you will be out of there in a few hours. Imagine what it must be like for those who must stay there for the rest of their life. And fear is present too. Fear of being shut in, fear of being in close quarters with dangerous people. So, immersing yourself then in the hell of prison is a very difficult practice. However, to my great surprise, it has given me and continues to give me great joy and opening. Meeting people who have committed multiple murders, brutal crimes, sitting next to them in meditation in a cramped cell. In prison, they certainly do not have the brightly lit, sweet smelling meditation halls to which we are accustomed, has allowed me to understand that these people are not monsters, but human beings, not different from us. Uh, we all have at one time or another had violent thoughts, uh, um, but we have not acted on them thanks to a degree of self-control or outbringing, fate, luck. But there are those who have not had the good fortune to have the same upbringing we have, or to develop the same level of self-control. And the space that separates us is very, very small. There is a saying in Zen tradition from Dogen that with a hair-breadth deviation, heaven and earth are separated. And just to say something about my practice, the idea of offering a course or a practice of this kind had its roots in something that happened many years before. When I was a boy, I read the remarkable book by Jack London, The Star Rover, which tells the story of Darrell Standing, an inmate of the San Quentin prison who has been condemned to death and shut up in solitary confinement, forced to wear a straitjacket. He begins to meditate in order to escape the body and to wander among the stars and to recall past lives. Uh, Although the Buddhist practice of meditation concerns itself not with escaping the body, but on the contrary, with staying in here and now, the idea of meditating in prison and finding freedom even within the four walls of a cell, has always intrigued me. So there's more to say, of course, but I would like to introduce to you Professor Antonino Raffone. Antonino holds a position of Associate Professor of Neuroscience at the Department of Psychology of Sapienza University of Rome, and is visiting professor at the Buddhist University of Nalanda in India. He makes a lot of research. The researchers, Professor Raffone, are focused on consciousness, attention, and mindfulness, and their neural correlates. He is a Zen practitioner, a lay ordained Soto Zen Buddhist practitioner under my guidance, and a lay prison chaplain. So, thank you. Nino, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Dario. Thank you. It's really a great honor. It's really a great, I'm delighted really to be part of this initiative for which I'm honored and thankful. And really, through the years, having witnessed the great program by Dario in Rome, in several contexts, really, it's something really remarkable. Also, deeply touching my Dharma practice as an occasion really of inner transformation and really opening up. So I would like to share a few results about the research, and perhaps if maybe I can share. I can share the screen. So happy to do so. And so, and basically, this is a research that we have performed with our team at the Department of Psychology of Sapienza University of Rome, with, you see, several collaborators, in particular, Dr. Skaiste Kerusauskaite. And as Dario nicely remarks, so we talk about meditation program. Dario also remarks the right mindfulness idea as an approach that really brings the Eightfold Path in a, I would say, secular way. But and so basically, I would like to share these two aspects of the research. The first one with the prison residents, the inmates, and we performed a first study with 13 participants, male prison residents in Rebibbia. Their mean age was 45, range 35-65, and they had average duration of time in prison was the years spent in prison were almost 5 years, and almost other 5 years to spend. And one of the prison residents had life sentence, and their years of school education were 10 years. So basically, after 3 months of training with this group, we performed some measures about the effects of a 20 minutes meditation at the end of this course. And we could measure through self-reported questionnaires their anger state. And you see, this was before meditation, and after meditation, there was a significant decrease in anger, the anger that they felt. Also, they reported a decrease in their state of anxiety. You see, before meditation and after meditation. And mood. We could measure an increase and improvement in the mood state from before meditation and after the meditation. This is interesting because just 20 minutes of this meditation in the context, in their prison context, in their everyday life place, they really reported these improvements in psychological well-being. And what was interesting, we performed some technically called regression analysis that showed that their dispositional mindfulness measure, the trait of mindfulness that they plausibly developed over the 3 months of this program, predicted lower state anxiety before and after meditation. The dispositional mindfulness predicted better mood before meditation with a statistical trend to better mood also after meditation. Dispositional mindfulness predicted lower state anger before and after meditation. And dispositional mindfulness predicted improvement of mood with meditation. And so I would like to talk then to the other study with the prison workers, including prison officers, but also administration staff, including directors of prison institutes in central Italy, with a mean age of 51 and years at work 23.5, 35% females, 61% males, with several levels of education, including university degree, 44%, high school, 39%, and intermediate school level. 27% were officers with involved in security, and 39% administration, 34 didn't specify. Okay, let me say, in this case, we have assessed the dispositional levels, meaning before and after the 8 weeks of this course, with 4 hours sessions in each week. We have measured before and after this actually 2 months program, the several measures by self-reported, once again, psychometric validated scales. And we have seen in increased, first of all, self-compassion with the right mindfulness training. You see the level in red bar before training and after training, this increase in self-compassion. Then we have zoomed in the subscales of this self-compassion scale. And one of these measures is the sense of interconnection with others that increased from before training to after training. The non-identification with the experience, actually taking more perspective in their feelings, you see an increase from before to after the training, and also a remarkable increase in self-kindness. We have also actually measured an increase in dispositional mindfulness in from before to after the right mindfulness training, and zooming in the subscales of the dispositional mindfulness, in particular, in actually a more emotional non-reactivity, non-reacting upon their emotions, which is remarkable in that in their context, workplace context, and also an increase in mindful observing, the observing experience in the present moment. Then, remarkably, an increase in general health, changes in positive and negative mood, actually decrease in negative mood and increase in positive mood. And also a decrease of life dissatisfaction with the training, so an overall increase then in satisfaction. Again, in mirroring the finding with the prison residents, a reduction of trait anxiety. And also with the regression analysis, we could see that self-compassion predicts lower anxiety. And we have seen that self-compassion increases with the training, and that also self-compassion predicts higher positive mood. Finally, that self-compassion predicts a lower negative mood. So also we have performed also more refined called mediational analysis that show actually these benefits on psychological well-being. And aligned with these findings, with these measures, it's remarkable that the prison actually management, the office, has reported formally that they have really had evidence of improved conduct, behavior of the prison inmates, and also a reduction in the demand of sleeping pills and anxiety actually medications, which is really very remarkable. So we are planning now further assessment based on physiological measures and behavioral measures. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Professor. Just a few words. So now there is an agreement between the Italian Buddhist Union and the Italian government, so I can enter, not only me, but I can enter the prison as a Buddhist chaplain, as a minister, Buddhist minister. And I'm also in charge of training other Buddhist ministers of the Italian Buddhist Union, to train them to enter prisons around Italy. And so now I serve in the prison of Rome in two ways. So as a Buddhist chaplain, officially as a Buddhist chaplain, but also as a meditation teacher. And I am a Buddhist chaplain for the Buddhists that are incarcerated, but the meditation courses are offered to all inmates, regardless of the religion or non-religion they belong to. And every year we have at least 25 inmates attending our courses that multiplied. So now we are active in 4 institutions, jails and also prisons. And also we are active in the female section. In Rome, there is the largest female prison in Europe. And that was the very first course of meditation for women, in prison women in Italy. And you tell me, but as far as I know, that was one of the first practice in Europe. And yes, 4 institutions, the official recognition from the state, and the programs with women. Of course, there is more to say, but I can stop here. And if you have any question, you can raise your hand as before.